from your local election headquarters. This is Big Country Politics on KTAB.
All right, welcome back to Big Country Politics. We have Megan Dobbs with the Community Foundation of Abilene and Dr. Christina Campos Davis with Hardin Simmons University. Thank you all for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Well, we want to learn more about Thrive ABI. Y'all had y'all's first meeting. First of all, tell us what the concept is. What's that all about?
Well, in short, Thrive ABI exists to first establish a community vision for what our community wants Abilene to look like in the future, and then to drive and measure progress towards goals that will be outlined in that vision. And we're in the middle of community visioning right now, so we're on the front end of this process.
And community visioning is just getting together and talking, right? I mean, Christina, who are you on the board? You're on the board?
I'm on the steering committee.
You're on the steering committee. Okay, well, explain those meetings. What are you guys hoping to get out of those meetings?
The idea is to really get an understanding for what Abilenians want for Abilene. So it's not just a group of kind of special people off by themselves making decisions about what Abilene should be, but what all Abilenians want to see in Abilene in order for Abilene to thrive.
Yeah.
Well, and you said all Abilenians.
All.
Is this the reason you guys, the one that held at Sears Park?
That was where our initial kind of kickoff event was held.
Yes. Is that the reason it was there? I mean, did y'all strategically pick that place?
Oh, yes.
We wanted to pick some place that symbolically says we're not just doing another meeting at, say, the Chamber or even the Community Foundation or some of the usual places. We've been trying to move around when we can, and just to show we want to be in communities and show people that your voice matters where you live.
There are a couple of meetings left to get this vision together for Thrive ABI. What do people come to that meeting? What should they come to that meeting expecting, you think?
Well, open dialogue, and I will say we really want to work a little harder at the next one to get, like you said, everybody from every zip code, every background, to know that they're welcome to be there. Because if it's truly going to be the community's vision, we need everybody represented. So we want people to come on the 9th. Our location should be determined by the end of today. I wish I had that
for really?
You.
Okay.
Yes. So we'll have that information out very soon, but they should expect open dialogue about where we want Abilene to go next in the future.
And so basically what we've done is we've hired a consulting firm to come in and to help us with the visioning process and to make sure we get some good baselines for where we're starting from in this process. And so when they come to the meeting, we're going to ask them to sit at different tables with people they don't know in order to really start a dialogue about a lot of different ideas in Abilene, and then those consultants will help guide them through the open dialogue process.
And this is how the last meeting went? You had tables and people sat with different people and just talked?
Yes, and these are three parts that are progressive, so we'd love for people to come back to each one. And even if you missed the first one, no problem.
Yes.
But the first one focused heavily on where we are now. What do we want to keep about Abilene? Are there some things we'd like to see change? The next one is where are we going? So that's why it's going to be very future focused. Okay, we talked about what we like or what we think might need to be changed. Now let's get serious about what do we want Abilene to look like in the future? And then the third one will kind of put it all together and go, how do we get there?
And one of the things we want to be really clear about is we really want this to be the kind of process that isn't just us talking and then some kind of white paper is created and that's it.
Well, I was going to ask about that. This is going to
actually we have a steering committee right now, but our hope is later on to have some other boards that will help to make sure that these things actually get implemented in our community and actually do make change, real change.
How did Thrive ABI get off the ground? Where did this come from?
You know, like with anything that's worth doing, I think it came from a lot of places, but I can give you kind of a synopsis.
Okay. Yeah.
I think for about a year and a half, there had been a group of citizens meeting around this idea of collaborating to make impact happen. And Christina and another colleague of ours and I went to San Antonio to be part of a program called Leadership Texas, and it just so happened that when we were there, we heard a presentation on an initiative called SA 2020. Which is basically what we're doing here. It's very similar, but it's happening in San Antonio. They were seeing really good results. And while we're not trying to be exactly like them, it inspired this idea of, you know, what if we bring that back and just see how people feel about it? The steering committee was interested in taking on a similar approach here, and that's essentially how it was born.
And I mean, SA 2020 is a 11 or 12 year process that they've been going through, and they've seen some wonderful results, and they have great community impact, and they have great partnerships in the community, and so we would love to see that happen. That's our hope, is that eventually Thrive ABI will become its own kind of organization that will continue to do the research and to create the baselines and to continue to push all of the nonprofits and for-profit organizations in town to work towards these solutions.
Think of it as a convener and facilitator. Once these initiatives or we know the areas that matter, then this would be kind of an entity running point to keep the ball moving in those areas. Facilitate meetings and convene people so that we're making strategies to accomplish those goals.
And I know the first meeting was just a few days ago, but have y'all been able to assess how that meeting went and get any information out of that meeting? Can you share any of that with us here?
So there was actually a survey that went out prior to this meeting, and we had fabulous results from that survey, and that was kind of the initial kind of partnership with the community, asking them to really give us an idea of what are the kinds of issues that are important to them, and we had great results with that.
Yeah.
Any,
1,500 people took it, which we thought was really good. Yeah.
Any specific issues that y'all can reveal here, or?
Well, I was roaming a lot during the forum, and we've seen some preliminary results, like she said, from the survey. And I can tell you some things that are rising to the top right now. But of course, this is early.
Yeah,
We've got
it
two
is.
more
I understand
forums.
that. Sure.
I think there were some pervasive comments on job creation, especially training and opportunities for people who are low income and doing a little more there. And I think that's not surprising. A lot of buzz around this idea of downtown development and what it could do in drawing people to Abilene, and then kind of just the holistic cyclical nature of all of that. You know, when our downtown's thriving and arts and culture is doing well and job creation happens, you'll start to see this cyclical, holistic approach to helping Abilene.
And not just job creation, but the creation of higher paying jobs in Abilene that create industry in Abilene that really do provide people with long-term careers that provide them with more, more income. But then also along with that, we heard a lot about infrastructure as well. So streets, was a big thing. Yeah. So, there are a lot of different things that we kind of heard in that discussion, things to do to increase tourism, things like that. So.
And Christina, you mentioned this white piece of paper. Y'all just didn't want to develop that. And I want to ask you about that when we come back in our next segment here on Big Country Politics. We'll be right back.